Welcome to episode 141, Disaster Recovery, Part 1.
Hopefully it's not a disaster to make.
Exactly. Not that we ever have disasters here, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly. I think it was Mike Tyson that said it's not about how well you punch, it's about how well you can take a punch. And sometimes in business and in the rest of the world, it ends up being that way, right?
It certainly does.
Exactly. So there are 4 ways to get publicity. And we've talked a lot about the first 3, which are write good press releases, to develop relationships with reporters, to build your own audience.
Yep.
And all of those things are good self-defense for thing number 4, right?
That's right.
And thing number 4 is to do something bad.
It's not a good thing, but it happens.
Or to have something bad happen. You know, even if it's outside of your control, sometimes things happen that reflect badly on you, right?
Just to reflect on what you're seeing here, this aircraft had actually been completely gone through, I think, a de-inspection, and was sitting outside the hangar
It was chocks.
doing an engine run-up.
Yep,
It overran the chocks,
it did.
and the brakes failed and went right into there. On the inside, it, of course, set off the fire extinguishers, which set off all the water, and there were logbooks in there that were totally destroyed. So this thing was a total loss.
Exactly. In fact, the damage to the plane was would have cost less money to fix than the damage to the logbooks, which basically were completely destroyed.
And since that happened, they could no longer rebuild the airplane.
I know, this is not funny, so I don't know why I'm smiling other than the fact that it was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, weird things happen. We have people involved in our businesses. People make mistakes. There's weather involved in aviation. There's, all kinds of crazy things that can happen. And we think, well, we're covering all of our bases. Nothing bad ever happened. And we live in this really fabulous little small town west of Salt Lake City. This is the view out our back window.
Yeah, we back up on the mountains, which is not too bad.
Absolutely. So this is featured on our Instagram post. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see lots of views of this with different weather and snow and clouds, and it looks different every time we look out our back window. But last Thursday night, this is what it looked like.
Yep. And it got worse.
And it got worse, exactly. So it started with a very small, I guess all fires start that way. This is called Middle Canyon. John and I ride our bikes up into this canyon behind our house.
Or did.
Did. We probably won't for a while. So it's a really beautiful area, lots and lots of trees, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking. About 200 acres burned.
And it's still burning,
it's still
actually.
burning, right? As we speak, there's so much smoke outside of our house that we have wet towels under our windows, so it's just not the best situation. But luckily, this is something that's beyond our control, but there are things that are within our control, and this caused us to review all of our disaster recovery procedures. We have great insurance. All of our files are stored off-site. Everything is being done that can be done. And really, really fortunate, and a lot of people that aren't.
Yes.
So there are always things that you can do to make this less obnoxious. Here's a really quick little video. Because we are aviation people, we have to show you this. Gonna go dump it. That's pretty neat, huh?
Hurry, go to the house.
Yeah. Just a second, just a sec. So that video was taken by a neighbor of ours that has little kids, so that's what you're hearing in the background. And those buckets look really small compared to the fire, but they're
actually
really
that
big.
one is on a helicopter, but they have a larger helicopter that has got a monster bucket under it.
Right.
And I watched it dump about a half hour ago, and it was just amazing to watch all the water stream out of the bottom of it and hit the fire and sizzle.
Right. So I guess, if there is a good side of this is that we get a front row seat to see a lot of really fantastic aviation right out our back window. But okay, so when something bad happens, yeah, it is basically a collection of checklists. So we've got checklists for just about every task or procedure that we do for a client. And these we customize, we make changes to them, we update them, we assign them to people, things get done, they get checked off. This is the opposite of our usual press release advice, because in a normal press release, you want to be as newsworthy and as exciting as you can possibly be, right? When something bad happens, you want to do the exact opposite. You want to provide as much information as you need to and not any more, right? And you want to be as boring as humanly possible.
Exactly.
Okay, and it actually does pay to get a news release out quickly, whether it's on your website or whether it goes to the news wires or to the aviation community or whomever is affected by your situation. Generally speaking, it's always better if they hear it from you first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so even if you put this on your website somewhere,
you don't want to be playing catch up.
Exactly. So you make a concise, unambiguous, complete, but boring as possible headline. You give a summary with just the facts. Here's what happened. Here's what we're doing about it. 1 or 2 paragraphs focusing on the most positive possible aspect of what happened. There's somebody who stepped in to help, or you want to appoint someone to be available for interviews, and you want to be as boring as possible in this situation. And if you already have relationships with reporters and other folks, and if you already have a pretty wide following on your social media, that actually helps, because those folks are going to hear it first. They're going to tell their friends. If somebody asks them about it, they will have already heard about it from you. They'll say, oh yeah, they put out a press release. Here's the details. And then they get the facts hopefully straighter than they would get them if they got them third hand, right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, exactly. So in a nutshell, that's really the procedure for when something goes wrong, either natural disasters or problems caused by...
If you have an airfield and somebody parks one on the runway with a gear up, you have to have something ready to go, already prepackaged, so that you can just hit the button and get it out there.
Exactly. In fact, for a lot of our customers who are using our content marketing package, one of the things that they want to do is to pre-write some press releases for maybe their 3 or 5 most likely incident types. And so you can create a press release that's just a fill in the blanks that you have in your file. All you have to do is fill in the names, dates, places. If you have a flight school, as an example, it's very likely that somebody's going to have a tail strike or have something happen, an airplane goes off the runway, or any number of things could happen. That's just risk management, where you think about, what are the 3 or 5 most likely possible things that could happen that you would need to communicate with the press about. Have those pre-written and ready to go so that the contact information, everything else is already entered. All you have to do is enter the particular details and put that out the same day. And that takes a lot of the stress and pressure off of you so that you can just deal with the situation and deal with the people at hand and not be worried too much about what you're going to say to whom, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so having a communication plan is one of the things that we can cover in a content marketing subscription, right?
Yes.
Okay, so sources for this episode, everybody who messaged us in the middle of the night to find out if we were okay. And they heard about the Middle Canyon fire, and they're like, wow, our marketing company's in Middle Canyon. The answer is, we're fine, your stuff is fine, everything's fine, right? Okay. Fox 13 Utah for the fire photos, Dennis Kennedy for the quote, Atul Gawande for the checklist manifesto, Basecamp for the Basecamp screenshots, obviously, and all of our clients who trust us to help them through their disasters. Exactly. So we really appreciate you being part of our podcast family as well. And if you want to talk about things that you may want to be prepared for, hopefully before the fact, we also do some emergency response if you're in the middle of a fact. That does happen. So just give us a ring on the Let's Talk button on the left-hand side of of your screen. If it is something that needs to be handled right away, you can call us at 702-987-1679
And tell them.
and tell them that you need to talk with us right away, and we'll do our very best to get back with you. Once again, it is so much better to think about this ahead of time than to be in the middle of something and decide you need to do some PR, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Have a great day. See you later.